Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery life on my brand new Huawei Honor 6X. Now before we start discussing the battery life, let's have a look and see which version of Android this phone is running. So let's tap into settings and then about phone right at the end, and you can see it's running EMUI 4.1. I know the new EMUI is already on the flagship phones like the P9, the P9 Plus and also the Mate 9, so hopefully at some point we will get EMUI. And I think if I remember correctly, Huawei did make an announcement. They said around mid of this year they will probably update the Huawei Honor 6X along with Android Nougat on that as well. Okay, so going further down, you can see it's running Marshmallow 6.0, which is a bit outdated to be honest. So hopefully, like I said, at some point we'll get Android Nougat on this device. Also, it's got the newer mid-range octa-core Kirin 655, which has obviously boosted the performance a bit. I will be talking about the performance of the phone in a few days time, guys, in my full review. Also, the phone has got a 3 gigs of RAM and a full HD 5.5 inch screen, so not looking too bad. Android security patch level 1st of October, again a bit outdated, but hopefully once we get the Nougat update and the newer EMUI, hopefully we'll have the latest Android security patch level update as well. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's quickly get started and let's get into the gallery bit, and I'll have a look and see what I've been collecting in the last few days. Okay, so the very first screenshot, guys, you can see the battery went down to all the way down to 6%, and you can see at times there were no network signal because I'll work in an area where there's no network, so I normally tend to put the phone in airplane mode. And those of you who follow me frequently, you guys know that already. Okay, so been using mostly on Wi-Fi. So let's have a look and see further down. Here I was using the Wi-Fi, guys. Occasionally you can see the spots here where this is where I switched the Wi-Fi off and I was using 4G. Most of my screenshot that I've taken for the screen on times, guys, is mostly based around mixed usage. More Wi-Fi, less 4G. Unfortunately, I couldn't find enough time to just give you stats on 4G alone only, because the phone has got a big battery, 3340 milliamp battery inside, and it takes me on average over a day to kill this phone. So the battery life on the Honor 6 in general is very, very good, and I'm sure if you're going to be using it moderately, you can even take out 2 days out of the battery. Anyway, so Wi-Fi here, screen awake, screen on, as you can see, and using the way I normally use my phone, YouTubing, social media, lots of browsing and stuff, and eventually I was able to achieve 6 hours of screen on time. And during all this time, guys, my brightness was around 60%. At times it was below 50% when I was using the phone at night time, because the screen gets really bright, so the brightness kept on varying, but mostly it was around the 50 to 60% mark. Okay, so let's have a look. This is where I was gaming, guys, because quite a few of you have requested in the past that, Jay, how's the battery life on gaming? So as you can see here, I was playing this game at 2051. The battery was down to 76%. So when I went further down, guys, you can see it was 60 down to 62%. So starting from 2051 and gaming up until 2129, so about 40 minutes of gaming, and it went down from 76 to about 62%. So you can have an idea that this phone is good enough for gaming as well. It can give you about, I think, approximately, I'm not saying it's a definite figure, but I think you should be able to get around 3 to 4 hours maybe of screen on time with gaming, because the battery is so big and we haven't got a top end chipset, so do expect the phone to last for a few hours on gaming. So not looking too bad. Okay, so here, if I remember correctly, I think this is where I was testing the standby times on the battery, and I know EMUI is very, very power efficient. They got this thing going at the back end where the EMUI keeps closing the apps which are power intensive or they drain too much battery out, like Facebook and things like that. So it's very, very good and very, very efficient, and I love the EMUI, the way it works, especially at the back end. Anyways, 1:24 in the morning, guys, battery down to 51%, and I left it as it is without doing anything to the phone. And then when next day I checked at 15:35, it was down to 50%. So you can see, of over 12 hours of standby time, the phone had only lost 1%. So once again, like I said, EMUI is very, very efficient. When your phone is idle and is doing nothing at all, it normally kills all the back apps and processes, which is very, very nice, and nothing is running at the back end. It's a very common, well-known problem in Android. I know ever since Marshmallow days and Nougat days, things have improved massively. All the back-end processes back in the day used to keep running, and people used to complain about batteries being draining overnight, but that's not the case anymore with the newer versions. And also with EMUI, I think they have done a very, very good job. Okay, so let's have a look further down then. Another screenshot down to 13%. Wi-Fi mostly, you can see the network signal was pretty good. I think this was my day off. I was at home and I did use the phone for a bit of 4G as well, just to test it out, see how it was. Okay, as you can see, normal using. I was also playing games like Real Boxing and Blade Lords. And if you look at this screenshot very carefully, guys, it says here it was consuming 4.4.01% of the battery, but it stopped. So this is what I was talking about. It's very, very good when it comes to optimizations on EMUI. Anything which is not used for a while, it will keep stopping at the back end. So this will greatly help to many people out there using Honor 6X, and your battery life will improve massively. One of the major reasons why this phone is lasting so long, because all those apps which are running at the back end and which you don't use after a while, they automatically get stopped by EMUI. Also, Blade Lords, you can see it says here stopped 2.96%. Again, it was stopped. So again, well done by EMUI. And the ones which are running, which you're running actively, haven't been idle for too long, and they will keep on running. So no problems there whatsoever. Eventually, I was able to squeeze out 5 hours and 47 minutes of screen on time, and the battery was down to 13%. This, if I kept on carrying on, would have probably got me well past over 6 hours of screen on time. So once again, well done by Huawei, and well done by EMUI as well. Okay, so going further down again, as you can see here, guys, if you look carefully on top, it says 1 day and 11 hours. On average, this phone has lasted me for over a day, guys. And you know, there are not many phones out there that I've tested in the last few years which have lasted me for over a day. So well done to Huawei and the Honor brand, or the sub brand of Huawei, Honor 6X. They've done a good job. And this phone, even with intensive heavy use, will last you over a day. If you're a moderate user, you can even squeeze out, like I said, 2 days from it, should you wish to. Okay, so going again, you can see here, guys, using the camera. Okay, here, if I remember correctly, I used satellite navigation on my GPS as well. So that's why the screen on time might not be as good as it was before. So my regular stuff here, again, Instagram stuff, you can see, there you go. So 5 hours and 12 minutes of screen on time, and that because I used GPS. And I was driving on the motorway, guys, and despite me using the GPS on and off for about, I think, an hour or so, still the screen on time came out to be really good at the end. Still 5 hours and 12 minutes with battery down to 5%. Okay, here again, just past midnight, the battery was down at 34%, and then I decided to test the standby time once more. And you can see then at around 19 past 10, the battery was down to 32%. So overnight, up until about 20 past 10, sorry, it had only lost 2%. Once again, a bit slight variation, because sometimes certain things are running at the back and it takes time for EMUI to stop them, because the phone doesn't know whether you have left the phone on its own or not. But in general, yeah, standby time has been very good. 1-2% every 10-12 hours is not too bad at all. Okay, going further down again, down to 13% once more, guys, using Wi-Fi, 4G both, and pretty heavy day. You can see, apart from the time when I was sleeping, it was pretty much on all day. I was playing with it, doing my social media bits and bobs. Being a YouTuber, of course, my phone is always busy tweeting and, you know, YouTubing and Googling and everything else. Eventually, I was able to squeeze out 6 hours and 7 minutes of screen on time. Once again, battery was only down to 13%, and if I would have kept going on this like this, it would have got me close to 6.5 hours of screen on time. Okay, once again, down to 4%. Typical use, all the bits and bobs again, guys. Instagram, Google+, Facebook, Pages Manager, email, YouTube, everything else. And once again, I was able to squeeze out 5 hours and 50 minutes of screen on time, and this is more or less like combined use. So as you can see, guys, the phone's got very good battery life, and on average, you can see here again, 1 day and 14 hours. So on average, it has taken me well over a day before I could kill this phone with easily 6 hours of screen on time. And like I said, you can even squeeze more if you're a moderate user. I'm a very, very heavy user. That's why it takes a lot on the phone. The brightness, like I said, was kept around 50% mark. At night time, it went down below as well at times because it gets too bright, like I said earlier. But in general, the brightness was around 50 to 60%, and I was achieving around 6 hours of screen on time with mixed usage. Okay, here I was then testing the charging times, because it's a big battery, 3340 milliamp, and lots of people ask me, Jay, how long does it take you to charge the phone? So I decided to charge it up and see how long would it take. So at 4%, around 8 o'clock, I started charging it, guys, when I was down to 4%, and then just before 10 o'clock, it had reached 95%. So on average, using the standard box charger with the 2 amp, you will probably be charging the phone in just about 2 hours. Because I had the phone drained all the way down to 4%, guys, that's why it's taken slightly longer. Most people on average would start charging their phones around maybe 15%, 20%. So expect the phone to be charged fully from around that time to all the way 100% in just under 2 hours. So again, once again, not looking too bad. So guys, in general, I think the battery is superb on this phone. The optimizations by EMUI are great, and with Android Nougat and EMUI 5 coming up in the next few months, hopefully things will improve even further and we'll have even better battery life. So guys, if you got any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment section, and like always, please give my video a thumbs up if you like it, and please subscribe to my channel if you want battery videos like that. Guys, I love battery life videos, and I will keep checking them out as often as I can, and I shall see you in the next video.